Welcome to the Ontario Health Quality Council's Introduction to Lean for the Residents First project. Early in World War II, there was an American factory that produced the Air Force's B-25 bombers. Early on, near the start of the war, one bomber was being produced every 6 hours, which is equivalent to 360 minutes. However, by the end of the war, one plane was being produced every 60 seconds, which is just 1 minute. This is a massive 360-fold improvement. So what happened? Obviously, the workers did not work 360 times harder, because that's simply not possible. Rather, the factory achieved this incredible improvement using the principles of a technique that we call lean. Now, lean is all about improving processes and eliminating waste. To understand waste, let's first talk about the idea of value. So, a value-added step is something that meets 3 criteria. First of all, it's anything that is important to the customer, and in long-term care, the customer will always be the resident. It's something that they would be willing to pay for if they had to. Secondly, it's something that is physically done to the resident. So this can be hands-on treatment, care by a caregiver, or consultation time with a provider. And third, it is something that is done right the first time. It's very important that we define value from the perspective of the resident. Any step that does not meet all 3 of these criteria is a non-value-added activity, or waste. It is very safe to assume that, in general, at least half of all time and effort is wasted. Some even claim that up to 99% of time and effort is wasted. Now, I realize that's a very bold claim, but let's look back to the B-25 bomber example. They used to finish a bomber every 360 minutes, but we know that they can in fact do it in 1 minute. So that means that 359 minutes were actually waste. And when we divide that by 360 minutes, we get 99.7% waste. So let's move back to the assumption that half of all time and effort is wasted. Let's suppose that this circle represents a standard work shift, where the blue half is value-added work and the red half is waste. Now, it should be noted at this time that to say that half the time is wasted does not mean that people are intentionally wasting their time. It just means that while they are busy, the activities they're doing don't add value to the residents. However, since doing half a shift's work isn't enough to get through all the required tasks in a day, you actually need to add in more work on top of the waste that's already there. And what you end up with is a large bulge like this. Now, this bulge represents overtime, stress, and errors, which then require rework, which is a waste, which require more time, and so on and so forth in a downward spiral. This kind of situation usually leads people to say things like, "It's a miracle that anything actually gets done around here." And so this is the old way. Let's put the old way aside for a moment and examine the lean way. Let's take that same standard work shift, and what we're going to do is identify waste. We'll target half of the waste. We'll remove it and replace it with value-added activities. So, what we end up with is the same 8-hour work shift with more value-added activity and less waste. Compare that to the old way, where we have this much waste. The old way is characterized by overtime, stress, errors, and rework. The lean way, however, is characterized by quality, efficiency, productivity, safety, and ultimately satisfaction of the residents and improved quality of life. And that is the lean way.